Hello friends, my name is Masood. Today we shall discuss about topic the transitioning from traditional approach to the Scrum framework. Friend, today's topic is very interesting, especially if you have interest in project management, Scrum framework, Agile, and software development. So let's start, friend. So, friend, today's topic is that whenever we are working in any organization, we have mainly the approach which we use is the waterfall approach, in which basically we plan, develop, test, and deploy the things. So it is the traditional approach which normally or generally followed all over the world. That basically we takes the project as a whole. We do the complete planning, then complete development, testing, and then deployment. And whenever we are working on one phase, we cannot go back into the previous phase. Like for example, if you are working on the development phase, so you will not go into the planning phase. Similarly, if you are deploying the releases on the production, so you will not go for the planning phase here or the on the development phase. So if you start the one phase, you will not go into the previous phase here as well. So this is the traditional approach of project management, of software development normally we followed. However, in the Scrum is basically a different approach, in which what we do that we basically breaks or down the project into multiple chunks, that is called a sprint, and each sprint contains few tasks from the project. We takes few tasks, which is basically a divide and rule concept. Then in the sprint we plan, develop, test, and deploy, and the end of the sprint we have a product increment means that things which have been completed after the completion of the sprint. Okay, so this is called as the concept of sprint in the Scrum framework. Now friend, the question here is that first of all we have to understand that if you are working already in the traditional approach like waterfall approach, you are already following. So here is the question that first thing you have to understand what is traditional approach of project management, which is a basically waterfall approach, and the another approach is the Scrum framework, which is basically the based on the agile, sprint, and the new approach, basically you can say. Here is the question that why you need to transit from traditional to the Scrum. Here's the question. Friend, basically when you transit from the traditional to Scrum, you will get different benefits. Obviously, there are benefits that you will faster delivery, customer satisfaction will improve, planning, commitments, and willingness to embrace a new way of working here as well. So let's deep dive into that. First one is to understand Scrum principles. Friend, you must have to educate and train your team members, stakeholders, leadership, that what are the principles, values, and practices of the Scrum. You can have the training sessions as well, and workshops can be valuable here in that session. For example, you can have a sample sprint planning session, sample sprint retrospective session, sample product backlogs, so that the team can understand, the working team will understand that actually what is needed, what will happen in the Scrum. Then create a transition plan means that evaluate your current state of projects which are you are working as per the waterfall approach or traditional approach, processes, team dynamics, and identify areas that will be impacted by the transition. Clearly articulate the goals and expected outcomes of transitioning to Scrum, such as improved flexibility, faster delivery, and increased customer satisfaction here as well. So the transition plan is also very important here in that case. Then the build across functional Scrum team, that means Scrum assemble across functional teams with all the necessary skills to deliver a complete product increment here as well. Empower the teams to self-organize and make decisions collectively here as well. Here friend, first thing is the team formation and then the team empowerment. That means the team should be formalized as per the requirement, and team should be empowered here as well. Empowered means self decision making, self organized, and collaborated here as well. Then appoint a Scrum Master and the Product Owner. Scrum Master is a person who basically facilitates the Scrum process, remove impediments and showstoppers, and coach the team. Product Owner is basically a bridge between the team and the customer. He knows about the product requirements, product backlog. He can define and prioritize the product feature set which is required. So both are important, Scrum Master and the Product Owner. Then introduce Scrum rules and artifacts, means that explain the rules of a Scrum team members, Scrum Master and Product Owner. Everyone should have the clear visibility that what are his rules. Scrum artifacts should be clearly defined, like for example the product backlog, sprint backlog and product increment. Product backlog is basically the set of features required for a product. Sprint backlog is basically the subset of the product backlog, means for example if there are 10 features in the product backlog, so 5 features could be there in the sprint backlog. Implement Scrum ceremonies like sprint planning meeting, in which we do the commitment for the work for the upcoming sprint. Discussions. Daily Scrum meeting means that it held on the daily daily stand-up meetings for quick status updates and identifying the impediments, showstopper, bottlenecks. Sprint review meeting, in which you showcase the work completed during the sprint and gather feedback from customer, business and product owner as well. Then sprint retrospective means that to reflect on the sprint and identifies areas improvement, what went well, what needs improvement, what things goes wrong, etc, etc. Then a transition to time boxed sprints, means normally sprint is generally a 3 to 4 weeks time period in which we do the planning, development and testing. Rather than just focusing on work of 4 to 5 months, we will focus only a 3 to 4 week time period, that is called as sprint. Then emphasize the importance of delivering a potentially shippable product increment at the end of each sprint. We know, friend, that when the sprint ends, we have a product increment. Then establish a product backlog, means the develop a product backlog with user stories or features and prioritize them based on the business value here as well. Where user stories are basically the features required in the product. User story, for example, customer can do the sign up in the e-commerce solution, so this is a user story. Continuous refinement means regularly refine and update the product backlog based on feedback and changing priorities here as well. Friend, the next is the encourage collaboration and communication among the team member, like people or team member can openly discuss about the things and collaborate easily with each other. Provide ongoing support and training here as well, like proper mentorship. Provide ongoing support and mentorship, especially during the initial transition phase. Offer continuous training to deepen understanding and skills related to Scrum, and measure progress and adopt. Define and use metrics to measure the team's progress, velocity and overall effectiveness. Regularly inspect and adopt the Scrum process based on feedback and retrospective insights.